Welcome back to the Avery Farm and Homestead. We're starting a project on the homestead today where we're going to do the demolition of a 100-plus-year-old corn crib, and we're going to do a little treasure hunt as we go through this to see what kind of treasures we can find. But before we get into it, we're going to do some work with the animals here. So come on along with us this morning and experience the farm life. As you can see here, one of the first projects that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get the steers moved out of the pasture that's right here that includes our yard. It's neat having these up here in the front yard to where we can pet around on them and hand feed them, but they're starting to get into Angie's flowers that are starting to try to come on. They know where the feed crib is here, and so they greet me every morning whenever I come outside, or they've even gotten to where they greet me when they see my car pull up in the driveway in the afternoons whenever I get home from work. So we're going to let the chickens out, and then we're going to get them back up to the corral. All right, here we go. Get everybody out and get them feeding. Good morning. How are you, buddy? Got the chickens out, so let's get a little bit of grain and let's get all of these gentlemen right here moved back up to the corral. So come along with us. Come on. Let's get y'all reintegrated. I got them some grain. I'll take you in here with me. We're going to let them eat a little bit of this grain before we turn the others in. That way they will make sure and be able to get some of it, because the big cows, even though they're cows, they act like pigs because they definitely like to eat this grain. And you can tell the other ones are just faunching out here to get back in. Hello, young. All right, come on, y'all join them. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Looks like we got a little tussle going on. This happens every time we separate some cows and some calves for a little while. when they get back together, they seem like they have to try to show who's boss. I try to stay out of their way. Come on, little ones. Come on. Good morning, Mercedes. Come on, Sage. All right, while they're eating, let's get them some fresh hay put out this morning. All right, guys, and just like that, I've got both herds assimilated together again, and got some hay out to them. Our hay supply is starting to run just a little bit low, and as many of you know, last summer there was a drought here in the state of Arkansas, and so hay got a little bit hard to come by, but luckily I was able to get what I thought was enough, but the cows have really went through some hay this year. But I have been fortunate enough to secure some more hay right here locally that I'll be going and getting in the next week or so, and it'll be enough to definitely get us to the spring flush. But as you can see here, this here is second cutting hay, so it's really good hay. It's starting to show the weather effects on it on the outer cover, but when you get down into it, you can see here it's really good hay. You can see where the weather has kind of affected it right here on the outside, but when you open it up just a few inches, you get down to some really good hay. This hay had been fertilized and it was second cutting, so these cows really like it. Now that all that's done, I'm going to take you down here and show you the old corn crib. We assume that the house is just a little bit older than the corn crib, but this thing has got to go, and because of where it sits in proximity to the house here, we're not going to be able to burn it like we have some of the other older structures here. So my idea is to tear this thing down and to try to reclaim some of this old lumber, not necessarily for structural use, but to maybe make some picture frames. And then of course we've got several family members of the original family, the Florin family, that started this home in approximately 125 years ago. And so what we plan on doing, this was their root cellar. A lot of you know what a root cellar were, the old timers. Most of them, before they had refrigeration, they always had some sort of a root cellar that they would store their canned goods in. And that's what this is. But as you can see over the years, the floor of the corn crib has collapsed in. And and you can see it's really leaning right here too. I would like to actually remove these boards before doing the demo to try to protect them and try to save some of them. But with the way this building leans, I'm just a little bit unsure about how safe it is. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and try to start taking the building down and get it maybe in a safer condition. And then I'm going to start trying to save some of the wood, some of the boards. And so as you can see here, this building is in really bad shape. The floor's caved in down here, you can see. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this wagon axle. Some of the family of the original owners of this farm, they live right here close to me, and I asked them to kind of look around and see if there was anything in this old corn crib that they might have wanted before I burn it. And the only thing they was able to see that they wanted was this old wagon axle and front end. And so the first thing I'm going to do before I do any demo is I'm going to get my tractor and some straps, and I'm going to lift that out of there, and then I'm going to carry that up to their house, and then I will start tearing this thing down. And another project that I'm wanting to get done today is we've got 3 large brush piles that are right here at the edge of our yard. As many of you know, we had a heavy snowstorm about a month and a half ago, and the snow was really heavy, so it caused a lot of damage to the trees that are around our yard, actually across the whole farm. And so we've been working the last few weekends to clean a lot of this up, and while we was at it, there was a few trees here in the yard that we wanted to get removed. So I went ahead and cut those down. And so what you'll see here is we have 3 brush piles. That's one of them. That's a fairly large one. Then you can see another one right over there. And then the third one is right over here on the other side of our large pecan tree. So I'm going to go ahead and get those fires started before I start the demo. All right, we got all 3 of them burning. A lot of this wood is still green, so I'm not sure how much of it is going to burn out, but we will at least get a good start on it. Got this one going. Then we'll walk right over here. And here we got this one going. So we'll keep a close eye on these and let the majority of it burn down, and make sure that you know, we're not going to have any fires get out, which I don't believe we will. We've had lots and lots of rain, but I'll keep a close eye on it, and then I'll come back to you as we get ready to start the demo on the corn crib. All right, guys, it's time to get started on this. I'm really uncertain about how I'm going to do it. I've got an idea in my head. I just hope it all goes well. Just come along with me. This is the end of day one. I'm about to get to low light here, so I better wrap it up for today. But before I do, I'll kind of show you how far I've gotten today on day one, and then we'll bring you back tomorrow and take you along with us as we continue the demo on the 100-year-old corn crib. So let me show you where I'm at the end of the day today. So here's where we're at. At the moment, we got the roof pretty much off, got most of the tin stacked. We got just a few more pieces here that I'm gonna have to get drug out first thing in the morning. And we got all the walls down, as you can see. We had a lot of concern that one of these evenings there was one of these storms that we get out of Oklahoma was gonna come in and was going to take this old building on down. But I tell you, after trying to demo this thing today, I believe it would have stood for another few decades, because this thing was still pretty firm together. I did find a possum living down here in the bottom, and I've seen him just a few times. He's not been very happy. I've disturbed him quite a bit, so hopefully the disturbance today will cause him to go ahead and go find him another home. I really need him to, because if you look, right there's my chicken house, but you can see where I've gotten right there. I feel like I got quite a bit done, quite a bit accomplished today. So, and now that I showed you the building, I'm going to take you on out to the brush piles and let you see how far we got on those. I'll take you out here first to the largest of the three that we burnt today. And I've also not only burnt brush, but as I was demoing the old corn crib, I was carrying a lot of the old lumber over here and throwing it onto the brush pile while it was burning. And so here it is. If you remember earlier in the video, this was the largest brush pile that I started with this morning. And it's just about burnt down completely. I'll have to keep an eye on these this evening and even after dark just to make sure, even though I don't think we'll have any issues because of the amount of rain that we had over the last few months. Right here you can see the second one. That was the smallest of them, and it's almost just an ash pile now. So all right, then we'll take you over here by the third one, which is the one over here by the pecan tree, and it's burnt really well. Of course, I've had to work all day to periodically come over here and get the limbs on the outside and continue to feed them into the flame. But you can see we've just about got this and burned down to just the stumps and the larger pieces of wood, and those probably aren't going to burn, these larger ones over here. And so I'm sure what I'll end up doing is once I switch out the hay forks for the bucket on the front end loader, I'll go ahead and be loading those up later this spring and be hauling them to a large dozer pile that we have at the end of the farm out in the pasture, where we actually piled a lot of brush when we first bought this farm and started the cleanup on it. So, but anyway, that's the end of day one. I better get around and get the chickens fed and watered and check on the cattle one more time and just make sure that everybody's doing good, and then I will be back out here at it again tomorrow. So I'll come back to you in the morning and we'll see how far we get tomorrow.